Hi everyone. I know it's Sunday morning, but this is going to be an edition of Funny Friday. Hi everyone. This is Narene's Life with MS. This is Narene over here. So I did decide to have a little change of scenery considering it was morning. Because otherwise, and do tell me if it's nicer, because you know I might consider taking more videos outside. And but do know that a lot of the videos, when I do end up recording them, they do happen at night, especially on weekdays. So this might be a rare thing you might see on weekends. But given that, let's get on with our Funny Friday session. So this story, it took me a while to think about something that, you know, was somehow entirely my fault, but also not my fault. And this story goes back to, I think, 2012 or 2013. So, you can look at me as being about 20 years old, 21 years old. And I was in a geology class as part of as part of college, studying to become an engineer. And so part of it involved us actually viewing part of the San Andreas fault. And to do that, one thing that we did was we stopped by what almost looked like a small on the side of the road of a small depression. And so what we'd have to do is hike into that depression, and in one corner of that depression you would actually see part of the San Andreas fault, um, because it's not always very visible. And I do remember climbing down, hiking up to where the fault was, getting a photo taken. And I remember coming back, there was quite a bit of issue because the way to was much more difficult to go back on. So next to, because we pretty much scaled sort of this walls of this depression to get into to touch the fault. Pretty much there was a bigger dip um, right next to the wall. And there was a very I want to say a very at least it looked like it would at least be able to handle my weight. Now do consider that, considering this is about 14 years ago, I was definitely a lot lighter then. uh, but there was a dead tree that I could pretty much climb over to get back up, scale the wall, and then get back onto the ground. So in doing all of that, I did notice that the tree had, considering it was dead, it had a lot of you know small spikes as part of the branches, the twigs. So there were tons of spikes. And just traversing all of them, I think I just realized I just ended up having um, you know spikes just attached to me, and they function very much like splinters. And considering that I was maybe waist deep in this kind of wooden shrubbery that was pretty much poking me everywhere, I think I spent the entire bus ride back to the college just taking out every single one. And there were every single one of these splinters, and these splinters ranged from being on my hands, to my feet, in my socks, on top of my shoe, but somehow still poking me from outside. and pretty much getting all the way down to um, my skin. And when I think about how funny that entire thing was, that had I given it a lot more thought and maybe thought about other ways that I could maybe scale the wall, um, that I wouldn't have had to spend close to an hour just removing splinters from my body. um, it definitely makes me think that yes, hindsight is very much 2020, but more so than that, sometimes just take a small pause, think, consider what the repercussions of any action might be, so that you're not um, you're not in a bus going back to your college and literally shaking your shoes out because there might be splinters. So that is my funny Friday story. Be on the lookout. Maybe in a few hours I will submit Saturday's video as well. But you have a great rest of the day, and I hope your weekend is going very well. Thanks.